And welcome everyone to Nerd TV for another RSR Next Generation Cup Series race coming at you live once more this week from the simulated and virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where these guys at the RSR Next Gen Series are going to be running 135 laps. And on the weather on the screen right now, track temp 105, same temperature as it was last night, 78 degrees in the air, a little bit more humidity, partly cloudy, and virtually no wind. So once again, it's going to be a nice little race here for these next-gen cars. We had an excellent race last night, and looking to have the same thing here tonight. My name is Jeremy Stanley, aka Jay Swifty, and to my right-hand side again and always, Mr. Jason Rockefeller. How are you doing this Tuesday night?
Absolutely ready for this race, Jeremy. Been looking forward to it pretty much all day long. From what we saw last night, I'm expecting probably the same thing here tonight, but probably a little bit more rough, just because this is the... Wow, okay. I knew you were going to do that. I knew when I was typing it in my notes that somebody was going to mention that. It just had to be you. But all jokes aside, all puns aside, I think that this race is definitely going to be a lot more, kind of like, rough, basically. Don't say Kevin. It's just, this is the final race of the round of 12. Oh my God. I'm not even going to repeat that. But, it's the final race of the round of 12, and we have drivers who are outside these playoffs looking in, trying to set themselves up for going into the round of 8. And, there's some pretty big storylines coming in here tonight, and obviously last week lots of playoff guys had some playoff implications, and this is a race tonight, Jeremy, like we saw last night with the Mach 1 performance guys, that this race can be very, very tough, and it can be very, very demanding.
Yeah, last night was amazing. We saw a lot of 2 and 3 wide racing. The entire stretch of the race didn't matter if you're in 5th place or back in 21st. That was just great racing all the way around, and that was an open setup race. This is a fixed setup, so if they can produce the same thing with cars that are a little more identical to one another on the track, I think everyone that's tuning in tonight for the Nerd TV show from the RSR Next Gen Series is going to have a blast. It should be action-packed. It's 32 less laps, rather, than what we had last night. It's a little bit more crunched in, but strategy is still going to play a factor. We had, I think, 7 cautions last night, and if these guys are going to run 2 and 3 wide again, we're probably going to have identical numbers there as well, identical weather. So we're looking, everything's brewing up to be an awesome storm. And you brought up some off-week news after the race last Tuesday. We saw the 26 Blake Howe win at the Roval over Ryan Bean in the 28. And they got a little bumper tag right after the line. We didn't think nothing of it, it'd just be whatever. But we didn't actually think about the fact that there was cars still on the track completing their laps to finish the race. So it was an active green flag race for most of the field when that contact happened. Therefore, it gave Ryan Bean a 50-point deduction, which moves him back to 11th place, 40 back from the point leader, and 17 back from the cutoff line. And tonight is the final race for the round of 12. So 17 points he has to make up here tonight, and you told me I think that's basically a must-win for him.
Yeah, it's practically a must-win for him, looking up at the point standings right now, right here. I mean, there's a lot of guys who look like they could be okay. I mean, you have Brian Fahn, you have Nate Campbell, James Catrone. They're up in the double digits. Same with Harold Watkins. They're all 14 or more points. Brian Fine's the only one who finds himself more than 20 points above that cutoff line. So he just needs to stay consistent tonight. The same goes for Nate Campbell, James Catrone, Harold Watkins. But it doesn't mean don't go for stage points. You want to try to maximize your points as much as you can, because you don't know if somebody like an Adam Boughton, an Anthony Ludi, a Ryan Bean, or a Zach Schrententhal could very well pull the clutch move and win this race to advance themselves, especially Zach Schrententhal. He's been very fast recently. I know last week at the Roval wasn't the best for him. He finds himself 32 points below the cutoff line. It's not necessarily a must-win situation, but when you think about logistics, stats, and whatnot, it's practically a must-win situation, being that far down in the points, sitting in the 12th seed. And Brock Potter and Nolan Potter, those were tough weeks for them last week. Obviously, I mean, it's just one of those deals that the Roval played a huge huge wild card for a lot of guys. And if Ryan Bean didn't pull that move after the checkered flag on Blake Howell last week at the Roval, we very well could be talking about Brock Potter or Nolan Potter out of the playoffs right now. And now you're looking at Ryan Bean, the guy who's dominated all season long. What if one simple mistake, one simple not using your head moment could take this guy out of the chance to win a championship?
Yeah, and there's only 27 entries here tonight, and he has to make up 17 points. So, the competition in front of him has to have a bad night, at least a couple guys, and he has to have a really stellar night, which he had, 7 or 8 wins at this point in the season for 2023B. So I think he's going to be okay, at least having a decent chance of doing so. But we're going to jump to qualifying here, get our faces off your guys' screen, and we're going to ride on board Richard Gonzalez here in the number 9, winner of practice session. Barely squeaked it out over, I think, Richie Coy, who's second, only 5/1000ths slower than him, then Blake Howell, another hundredth of a second. And Jason, these lap times in practice, I don't know if you noticed, but the top 23 guys were within a tenth of a second bracket from one another.
Yeah, that doesn't really surprise me with how hard these RSR guys have ran pretty much all season long since we called this series starting back in Atlanta. I mean, this series has been super duper competitive. I mean, we've seen, a lot of the stealth guys really dominate, that being Nate Campbell, Ryan Bean. But I mean, just the sheer facts that all these guys put so much emphasis, onto these qualifying laps. They know how bad track position matters, so you have to make sure that you have these excellent runs in qualifying. And Nate Campbell sits up at the top of the board with a 30.353. I'm assuming that second lap is going to be faster. Remember, Richard Gonzalez, guy who's fastest in practice, he's second on the board right now. We'll see how he is coming to the line this time by. We'll see if he can crack the ones. James Catrone gets below the threes. Nate Campbell does as well. And it looks like Nate Campbell so far is going to hold the point with a 30.257.
Still a tenth off the fastest practice time. These guys are 2:56. Right now holds the time. That's the 45 of Nate Campbell. Rich Gonzalez, 2/10 slower from his time. As people are still filing in their lap times. 19 guys right now looks like have taken time out of the 27 entries into the server. As we're about halfway done in this qualifying session. We're on board the roof camera here in the 99 Cabin Rough, coming off of turn number 4. And this is going to start or complete his first lap, rather.
Blake Howell jumped up to the top of the charts. So last week's winner already going out on a high note and qualifying so far with a 30.223, 300ths rather of a second faster than Nate Campbell. And here's Brian Fine, the guy coming into tonight, second in the points. He has the most comfortable cushion besides Blake Howell advancing through to the next round. So Brian, he's looking to have himself a fine night. Obviously, always talk about the puns with his last name and whatnot, but this is a guy who seriously can contend for this championship against these Stealth Motorsport guys. And also Blake Howell, who's just been so fast recently. Got that win at the Charlotte Roval last week. I think Brian Fine can do some really good things here at the end of this season and probably try to find himself in victory lane once we come championship time.
Yeah, 100% here. You see him go through turn number 4 right now. This is going to end lap number 2 for him at the line. 30.424 jumps up 1/10 up to 18th place on the boards there. Only 2/10 off the pole time right now, so even though he's sitting 18th or 19th at this time, only 2/10. That's really not much time to make up, and you're in the top spot now. Here's the number 28, Ryan Bean, almost in that must-win situation. And we're going to watch him, and I'm going to watch Brock Potter, the person sitting 8th in points right now, right at that cutoff line. Remember, 17 points separate them, so we're going to have to see where Brock can finish and where Ryan can try to make up all the stage points and get the maximum amount by winning this race. It's really going to help his chances get back into where he was basically all but locked in. And now we're switching over cameras to the number 8, Mr. Anthony Ludi. He's going through turns 1 and 2 right now. This is his second lap.
Yeah, and here's the thing about Ryan Bean is he is P3 up on the board right now, and it looks like that's where he's going to reside for the time being in this session. And that's what he needs. He needs that good qualifying run. He's got that right now. He's just got to hang off and probably go and win this stage. I think that's probably his goal here, Jeremy, is to obviously he's going to start third more than likely in this race. His goal is going to be get to the front, stay out front, learn this car, learn this track. How does it adapt? Do you get tight on the long run? Do you get loose? We saw a lot of guys in last night's race, Jeremy, get either loose or tight on the long run, depending on their setups. But by the looks of it, more than likely, just with the fixed setup, and from what I know here, it looks like it's probably going to start to get really tight as these tires kind of deteriorate on these long runs. So Ryan Bean has to be ready for that. He has to go win this stage if he wants any chance remotely at making it on points here tonight.
Yeah, has to maximize there to make up the ground for stage 2. Stage break is over at the completion of lap 50. So it'll be 50 laps to stage and then 135 total laps to get to the finish of this thing. But we went to overtime last night and very well have a good chance of doing overtime here tonight as well. And as we're going to wait for a couple more cars to go down the starting order for tonight's race. For the 213 SimWear 200. I think we got enough cars in. We're going to have our cameraman and producer, Mr. Dustin Loxton, which he is awesome behind the cameras every single time, giving us the nod there as he's about to walk down the front straightaway here. Number 26, Blake Howell, does take pole here tonight. See if he can go back to back in the playoffs. Second place, Nathan Campbell in the 45. Third place, Ryan Bean. Fourth place, Richie Coy. Fifth place, Kevin Zabladil. Sixth place will be Brock Potter. Seventh, James Catrone. Eighth place will be Andrew Little. Starting in ninth, Harold Watkins. And tonight's 10th place starting car, number 82, Stan Carnathan.
Top 20, Matt Hayden right now starts P11. He is not gridded yet. We'll see if he does here. Time is running out for him. Zach Schrittenthal, talked about him, needs to win this race pretty much. He'll start 12th. Next row, 13th and 14th, you got Bob Fitzpatrick Jr. and Richard Gonzalez, the man who was fastest in practice. 15th and 16th, Adam Boughton and Justin Henry there in the 16th position. 17th and 18th goes to Alexander Hodge, Michael Sheffield in that beautiful number 1 machine. And then rounding out your top 20, the guy who comes in here probably most comfortable other than Blake Howell, Brian Fine, and Anthony Ludi there in the number 8 and 20th.
21st place, Michael Carter. 22nd, Kevin Ruff. 23rd, James Fitzmaurice. 24th place will be Rusty Modesty. 25th, Jerry Culver. 26th, 27th, and 28th did not qualify, so they're sorted by their I ratings. So it'll be Nolan Potter, Robert Fitzpatrick Sr., and Steve Potter rounds out the 27-car entry list for the 213 SimWear 200. They're going to go one pace lap around this 1.5-mile track, and they're going to go green flag. They do take all restarts at the Geico restart zone, and so number 26 will be in control of that here. And yeah, the couple of people that have to win in 12th place in points, Zach Thornton on the 17. He's starting P5, so it looks like he's got some good speed, at least in qualifying and in practice. Posted a .190 or a 153, so right there on the top of the board. So he has a solid chance. We already talked about Ryan Bean's situation, and you mentioned on that grid there, Adam Boughton in the 10. Also trying to do anything he can to at least be at least 4 or 5 positions better than Brock Potter to move up above that cut line as well. So there's a lot of different things we're going to try to keep our eye on throughout this entire race. And I know our chats, which are open by the way, so feel free to chat along. You guys are pretty good at asking about points, and hopefully we did a good job, or we'll do a good job rather, to keep that update for you as we go along. Pace truck is down. Just waiting for the official green flag here as they get to the line. 3, 2, 1. And here we are, green flag, and this race is officially underway.
Yeah, what a great start there for the number 26 and the 45, but it looks like Bean's going to give the push to his teammate, or actually rather Blake Howell, the guy who we talked about was able to steal that win away. Those two made some contact last week. Ryan Bean was not happy after the checkered flag. We'll see how hard Ryan Bean races Blake Howell here tonight, but as they go through 3 and 4, the field starts to kind of shuffle around. But Blake Howell this time off turn number 4, going to lead the first lap over Ryan Bean, Nathan Campbell, Richie Coy, Brock Potter, your top 5.
Richie Coy had 170-plus laps last night for the FTSR Mach 1 Performance Cup Series, and he's joining us here tonight to do another 135 laps. That's going to be a little over 300 laps for this 19 car if he does complete every single lap here this evening. Currently sits in that 5th place at the moment. So you mentioned Ryan Bean. He's got to keep an easy race. He can't race anybody hard because of the points you have to make up. You can't put yourself in a weird spot. And so I think that's going to be his game plan, at least for the first stage. No question. The top 6 are single file. 7th and 8th, 9th, 10th, those are all double file there. They're kind of pretty racy in the back half of the field right now.
James Catrone, he just clears Harold Watkins off turn number 2. Now Stan Carneth and Matt Hayden, they battle side by side this time. Or actually, that is Schrittenthal and Carnathan off turn number 4 that time. And it looks like Schrittenthal is going to get the advantage, already starting to try to come up through this field. He's up 2 spots from where he started, so it looks like he's trying to use that middle to outside lane to his advantage here, Jeremy, to try to make up some ground here earlier in this race.
Yeah, we saw the outside last night play a huge role in some people making some gains on this track. So don't be surprised if we see the second, third lane kick up early. A couple guys are already trying to rubber it up, and that will progress with speed later on in this race. The lead change, the 28. Ryan Bean gets clear to the 26, cuts down right in front of the 26, Blake Howell, to resume as your leader in your first lead change on lap number 5.
And here comes Nate Campbell to the outside of Blake Howell. Took a peek, nearly brushes the wall off turn number 2. They're single file, but they're in the back. James Controne shot out of line going to the bottom of Zach Schrittenthal. They're side by side now, this time coming off of 3 and 4. Gets a little tight, but as they file back out down the front straightaway, Zach Schrittenthal is a man on a mission right now, trying to get 4 spots gained as he heads into 1 and 2.
Doing a great job running just in that second groove there, taking off the exit approach from James Catrone and gets him the momentum, and he's all but clear here. It looks like he's going to get it. Catrone lifts just enough to kind of give it to him if he wants to go to the bottom, and there he goes. They go back single file right behind them. You see the 23 and the 82, Harold Watkins, Stan Carneth, and they're side by side here as they go down the front straightaway to complete lap number 6.
Great battle going on again here between Carnathan and Watkins as they go down to 1 and 2. Carnathan's kind of going to slide up a little bit, at the bumps on the center of 1 and 2, or in the center rather, but he is able to still maintain that position. Richard Gonzalez, man who was fast in practice in that number 9 Monster Energy machine, trying to look for a way around these two, just can't do it. And Jeremy, that's the thing we saw last night, is if you tried to even go 3 wide, depending on if you go to the top, the bottom, you were putting yourself or other drivers in very, very vulnerable spots to get them arrow tight, arrow loose. So you have to be careful if you're a driver like Richard Gonzalez trying to make a move if you think about going 3 wide.
Yeah, we saw 3 wide quite a bit last night, and for better or for worse, it helped some people, but then some people put them in the wall quite a bit. And so if you're on the top, maybe think about not trying to do that move. Too early to risk that kind of thing, in my opinion. Only 8 laps into this event here as we got side by side. Blake Howell is trying to make the move back to the race lead, utilizing the second groove here, which seems to be the faster of the 2 grooves, especially in 1 and 2 right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's the thing too, is we talked about, yesterday, how in qualifying you were going to see guys run that middle lane pretty much. You don't want to get down to the bottom. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can run that bottom and run full throttle to a certain degree through the center of 1 and 2, but there are those bumps that are in the bottom of the racetrack. They kind of make the car very unsettled. We'll shoot it up the track. We saw it a lot on Sunday. We saw it a few times last night. We've already seen it here tonight, like we saw before with Stan Carnathan. Hit those bumps, got arrow tight, went up the racetrack. That's why you're going to see a lot of guys using that middle lane to their advantage. And then some guys are going to try that very, very top side through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 as well.
We will see that line expand for sure on Facebook. We see Michelle Rittenberry saying, "Let's go, Kevin Lee Ruff," as she is here for her normal visit every single week, cheering on Mr. Cabin in the number 99, who currently right now is sitting in P19, 4 seconds back of your race leader. As you see him there on camera, he's on the back straightaway here, still within the straightaway of the race lead. So he's not too terribly far back, but right now not having the best performance early on in this event.
Yeah, definitely not. And obviously, in Cavin's not a playoff guy really anymore, so he could just go out here. He wants to try to maximize whatever points he can, wants to get those stats in the stat book up and running and make them really good, lead laps and whatnot. And he's doing a good job. This is a guy who we've talked about Whoa, big wiggle right there out of the 13 of Jerry Culver, got into the wall for a split second off turn number 2, and it looks like he's going to drift up the track, nearly clips the 99 of Kevin Ruff through 3 and 4, but it looks like he settled back down onto the bottom of the racetrack. And Jeremy, that was a heavy lick for the 13 just 1 lap to go, and nearly, oh no, he's going to put Michael Sheffield in the wall right there. In the one, wall glues it. He's able to come off now, but 2 hard hits, not only for the 13, but the 1 now as well.
The one, Sheffield's going to lose 5 or 6 spots there on that transfer as that wall glue severely slowed down his speed. As we go back to the front half of the field, the 26 and the 28 are still side by side, but they're right around 10th place. These guys are really trying to get into the top 10, and so we're seeing a lot of side by side action here as we kind of pan over to the 11 right now. He's running the top or middle groove. You see the 82, Stan Carnathan. He's one of the first to venture out to that 3rd and 4th groove. He's actually going to rub the wall down the back straightaways. They're going to go 3 wide with Brian Fine in the inside, Harold Watkins in the middle. Stan's going to back out of that. They go back to 2 wide off of 4.
Yeah, and Stan hit the wall going through turn 2 and then down the back straightaway, just basically kissed it, gave it a skim. And oh, we got a yellow flag on the racetrack right now, trying to look back and see what's going on here. This is going to bring out our first yellow for the day. Oh, a couple guys involved right there. The 94, Steve Potter, and I believe if that's the number 9, the guy who is fastest in practice. That's Richard Gonzalez. We're going to take a look right here, Jeremy. I think this 9 all of a sudden just snaps loose, if I'm correct. And oh, yeah. Look at the back end. You could already see it starting to step out on him right here coming off 4, and I think he just overcorrects it.
Which is really odd. I was watching in full speed as we're going the slow motion route here on the replay, and that's such a hard hit there.
Oh.
It lifts up the 94, does a little weight transfer there, and spins a 360. But the number 9, Richard Gonzalez, was slow in 3 and 4. He already gave up a couple spots prior to getting loose. So I know you don't have broke wheels or tires that are coming loose in the virtual world here on iRacing, but you see it right there. He's just losing spots. He's just trying to hang on, and then he finally picks it really loose, overcorrects, and into the 94. It's just really weird situation there for Richard Gonzalez.
Yeah, a very, very weird spot to get loose, Jeremy. Usually you don't see guys get loose like that low on the racetrack, and he didn't just go on the inside of the racetrack. He went down below the apron and then kind of overcorrected it there coming off turn 4. So very unfortunate for our guy who was fast in practice. Michael Sheffield started a little bit towards the mid-pack. Looks like those two are definitely going to be done for the night with race contending-wise anyways. But everybody electing to stay out here this early on does not surprise me. Obviously, Jerry Culver, though, he's going to come down pit road after skimming that wall. Surprised that not Stan Carnathan, but Michael Sheffield, I believe that he came in last time around. But this 13 of Jerry Culver definitely needed to come and pit because as you see the 9 there, Richard Gonzalez overshoot his box. I think that 13 definitely needed to come in, take 4 tires. But watch here, Jeremy, how crucial Jerry Culver's decision to come and take 4 tires is going to make a difference. That car is going to be fast. I know it's a fixed setup race, and obviously the tire setup is different compared to the open stuff. But with that being said, this 13 with about 15, 16 lap fresher tires, he's going to fly by those guys in the back.
Yeah, we saw it kind of toward the late of the run last night on the FTSR race. It's just 15 laps made a huge difference. We saw guys that were definitely going to be finishing top 5, no problem whatsoever, and the guys that are going to finish 20th. And that was for a playoff. That's why we kind of keyed in on it a little bit more than what we usually would. But then one caution came out. The guys up front stayed out. The guys in the back pitted. And all of a sudden, things were completely flip-flopped. The guys were running 20th, 21st. They were up there in the top 5. The guys that stayed out in the top 5 dropped back to about 15th to 20th. So 15 laps plays a huge role here at Las Vegas just because it's a little more bumpier. It eats up the tires just a little bit more than like a Charlotte would per se, or even a Texas. So tires definitely play a factor here this evening. And we're going to give a shout out to our series sponsor before we go back to green flag action. That's going to be our friends at Best One Tire and Service. So if you're looking for a one-stop automotive repair and tire shop, Best One Tire and Service helps you get the new tires, tire repairs, and auto service you need from the people you can trust. Check out where their nearest location is to you by visiting bestonetire.com.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see. Obviously, though, on this restart, if Ryan Bean can get away from Blake Howell, these two have been battling so far, pretty much ever since the start of the green flag. We've seen both of them kind of swap positions quite a few times. I think Ryan has the better car on the long run, but Blake really shoots out on the short run. We'll see here which one of these guys is going to get out ahead because Nate Campbell's going to be right behind his teammate here on this restart. What will Richie Coy do? Will he try to go up to the outside? Will he try to make a move? I know he's not a guy to make aggressive moves, but he's got an opportunity here to go and collect some stage points.
YouTube chat real quick. Mitchell Owen says Hodge is due for a win. Yeah, he's been pretty good up there. Let's see if he can maybe sneak one out here at Las Vegas. My three sons saying good luck, Jerry Culver, which he's going to need all of his luck to get to the front with those fresh set of tires. And then Robert Geary saying we're in Oklahoma, but we're still cheering on Blake as he's trying to go back to back. Green flag is out though. Ryan being the 28 with an excellent restart over the entire field. Gains about 2 car lengths over his teammate Nathan Campbell in second place. And now the 4, Brock Potter's going to squeak past the 26, going to move himself into third, coming off onto the backstretch.
As they file out down the back straightaway. Oh, whoa, big move right there out of Brock Potter. Cut right up in front of Blake Howell. I don't know if there was contact or what. I thought somebody brushed the wall. Didn't see any smoke. Didn't see any debris flying off the wall, off any of the cars. It looks like everybody stays clean for the time being as they hit lap number 20. Ryan Bean, he's gotten out to about a 3-car length lead over Nathan Campbell and Brock Potter, 2 of his close buddies there in those Toyota Camry XSEs. And Richie Coy will throw a slider on Blake Howell off too.
That was so close between the 26 and the 4. I don't know if there was more than 2 inches of gap there. But he slid up and it did not cause any contact from my angles anyways. The top 6 or 7 are single file, and then they're double wide for around 10th place. And then these guys single filed out. Once more contact there. Alexander Hodge gets hit by Stan Carnathan right in the center of the tri-oval. It backs up Carnathan about 3 or 4 car lengths. Make sure he did not wreck, but they stay going straight and down the back straightaway here side by side with the 17 on the inside.
Still side by side with Watkins. Now Watkins able to get out just a little bit ahead there of the 17 through 3 and 4. He'll work to the outside, be able to clear him that time with Zabladil being pressured by Hodge to the start-finish line along with Justin Hendry right behind those two. But as they all single file out, file back down into 1 and 2, everybody elects to go down to the bottom. Some guys stick into that middle lane, which has been very, very trustworthy for a lot here all night long. But as they head down the back straightaway into 3, Zabladil still looking to be under pressure here from Alexander Hodge.
Yeah, doing a great job there. I see DJ on the YouTube chat saying, good show, nerds. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for joining in. It's been a little bit since we've seen your name pop up in the chat, so hope everything's going well on your end. We're seeing 6th place and 7th place side by side. That's the 38 of James Catrone. Trying to get around the number 2 is Zach Strenthanon. I think he's going to get that pass completed, and he does. They go single file here in about 10th place or so. You see him 2 by 2 by 2 still.
Great move there for Kevin Ruff going through the center of turn 2. Made it 3 wide, elected to go to the middle. He took that position away from, I believe that was Rusty Modesty. Maybe it was Justin Henry. It was Justin Henry. So good move out of Kevin Ruff to be able to keep it 3 wide, stick it in the middle there, and he was able to get through, but he's still battling with Carnathan going into 1 and 2. Carnathan's going to have the run here coming off turn 2 with that outside. They actually make contact, and looks like Carnathan gets up into the wall. Modesty thought about going 3 wide for a second, elects not to. They're going to remain double wide, that being the 6 and the 82. Puts the 99 3 wide for a slight moment off 4. They get loose coming to the start-finish line.
Gavin Ruff came on the chat saying sorry about that. He recognized the situation and called it out. At the same token, we had our 4th lead change happen of the night. The number 45, our 3rd different leader this evening, passes his teammate Ryan Bean on the front straightaway. Now the 45 is at the point with a nice little 2 to 3 car length advantage, and then they themselves got about a 6 or 7 car length over the 3rd place 19 Richie Coy on the front straightaway now to complete lap 25.
Richie's just trying his hardest to get up here. I mean, we've seen him do very, very strong here. Obviously, ever since he came on to this RSR ERL side of things with these guys. No wins yet, but he's got, a few starts and whatnot. He's got 4 top 5s, 5 top 10s. So out of all the starts that he's made here, which has been 5 since he started, Every single one of them have elected to be a top 5 or always a top 10 run. Maybe tonight's the night that Richie Coy could finally get to victory lane here in the RSR Next Gen Cup.
He's podiumed twice since he joined in about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I'm not exactly sure when, but he's performed pretty well here. Still getting used to the fixed setup stuff. He's used to always doing the open setup routine, so trying to figure out how to exactly play in the same exact cars. Ooh, I think almost contact happens between Brock Potters. He gets really loose there as they got really close. As Richie Coy's going to do a little bit of monster truck in there on the front straightaway. Not sure how that happened. But it looked like Fora had lost all the air off his spoiler, got really loose, had to check up, and allowed 26 to get around here. We're going to jump to the Nerd TV replay, and he just gets loose. You see the tire strakes there right up against the wall, shoots down the track, and a little bouncy bounce, and keeps going.
Yeah, I guess he thought he was in Hazard County there as one of the Dukes of Hazzard guys right there. Bo and Luke Duke going through the grass. What a save there by Richie Coy. But that was interesting. I want to see maybe if we can take a replay back at what happened to the 4, because all of a sudden he had the driver on his door. I don't remember who it was, but once they got through 3 and 4, you saw, I believe it was Blake Howell, started getting right to his door, and then all of a sudden the 4 just got the air taken off of him. He started getting really loose on the exit of turn 4, slowed down drastically off this corner, and here it is. You're going to see this 26. He's going to start to get a little tight, and it's going to kind of transfer over to this 4. They never make contact. It's just that 4, due to the air being packed on that left rear from the 26 coming up the racetrack, it gets him super loose, backs out of the gas, and then he loses a ton of spots, goes all the way back from about, what, 5th, 6th? Now he finds himself all the way back at 12th.
Great driving by the number 4 as well to not get loose anymore and hit the right rear quarter panel of Blake Howell. Kept it clean there, but it costed him quite a few positions, as you just notated there. I'm going to jump to the Facebook chat. Sheila Geary on there saying, keep it going, Blake Howell. He's, as we've seen now, in 4th place now, 31 laps into this event. As we're looking back a little bit further in the field, looks like we're looking at 99 Kevin Ruff, 11 Alexander Hodge. And these guys in this spot, there's number 4, Brock Potter, who's kind of settled in behind the 99 of Kevin Ruff as they're coming up to lap number 32.
Loose moment there out of the 11 of Hodge off turn number 4. So we're starting to see some of these guys get a little loose here in the medium length part of this run. Everybody's running all over the racetrack, trying to figure out which lane is comfortable for them, which lane they can make passes with, make up time. And you're starting to see it translate, obviously, with the tires and the drivers, the cars, and whatnot. Everybody's either getting tight or loose. We've seen a handful of drivers get loose off 4, but we've also seen some get tight, like the 26 of Blake Howell, the 4 of Brock Potter got loose a handful of moments ago. Looks like everybody, though, currently single file. Not anybody making some moves, but you definitely see some guys migrating around this racetrack trying to find the best lane.
5th lead change this evening back to the number 28, Ryan Bean, who set it up with the last lap prior on the front straightaway. Took about a half a lap to pass his teammate Nathan Campbell, as now we're looking on board the roof camera of Richie Coy, the 19, who's looking to strike here. Gets his nose to the inside of Nathan Campbell, and he gets squeezed a little bit. They stay on the racing surface. 19 is going to be door-to-door with the 45. Goes through turns 1 and 2. I think the outside is going to be the preferred way, but Richie's so good on the bottom on some of these tracks. But right now that 45 just in that preferred groove shoots him past plus some, and he's going to remain P2 and P3.
As they go into 3 and 4 this time, there's the 19 of Richie Coy. He's going to try to get to the bottom there of Nate Campbell. Just can't do it yet. They're going to remain single file. The 45 electing to not go below that apron. Remember, something to note about, I know it's not as bad here because the radius of that tri-oval isn't as bad as, let's say, a Kansas or a Chicago. But if you run down on that flat part of the apron through the front straightaway to gain an advantage with speed, it's only going to hurt your tires, really, Jeremy. I mean, that's the reason why I always thought to myself, only use that area of the racetrack when you know you have the run or when you're defending late in the race. I would not use that apron at all, and that's just a lesson I was told when I joined on iRacing, because it just wears out that right rear, or not right rear, but rather right front. And really, you only want to do it those first 5 laps on a tire run, and then you really want to just kind of stick to the normal racetrack. It's just going to hurt you more and more the more you go down there. It's going to heat that thing up.
And I think that's kind of weather dependent too, Jason. I know in years prior, I haven't kept up to date on it. Recently, as the 19 on my end gets really loose there on the inside of the 45, but it's weather dependent. And I say that because before, at least 2 years ago, the apron was not considered part of the racing surface, so it was coated just a little differently as far as how it holds temp. So it would be a very stationary 78, 80 degrees on the bottom. So if you have a track surface that's 100 plus degrees, maybe you want to go down to the bottom. And you saw cars do that before, at least quite often in the official stuff, where they'd go down there every single caution and cool their tires off. And so if it's a lot cooler on the apron, you could utilize that to actually help your tire wear rather than hurt. As we see some 3 wide now, Andrew Little on the inside of this. You got the number 2 strength and all there. And the 23 Harold Watkins, I think he made some contact there on the outside entering turn 1.
Brushed the wall right off the corner, but he was able to maintain it. And this is a huge gaggle of traffic back here. You see Kevin Ruff, Brock Potter trying to make a comeback from that back. He's actually going to get a little tight. So is Kevin Ruff. They're 2 and 3 wide all the way back here in this pack. If there's going to be a yellow here late in this stage, Jeremy, it's going to come from right here.
Yeah, it looks like it's kind of thinned out at the moment, but still pretty stacked up overall. I see Michelle Rittenberry saying, way to push through the field, Kevin. That's because he's up 12 positions now from 22nd to 10th, as we got 11 laps to go before we're going to get to the stage break. And so he's not done yet. He's going to pass a few more cars here before we get there.
I think he very well could, and I mean, you look at his lap times, they're not the greatest, but the fact that he's been able to kind of maintain here, I think that Kevin Ruff definitely could get some stage points, and obviously, there are some guys who need stage points out of this. You talk about Zach Schrittenthal, every stage point is valuable for him. You don't know how this race could shake up. Oh no, as they said, it turned in front of the field. Big crash down the back straightaway. Collects Alexander Hodge, Andrew Little, few others as well, Michael Sheffield. Oh my goodness, and for talking about the number 2, heartbreak for him off turn 2.
Yeah, basically almost went 3 wide on corner exit, bad bump to the back end of the 26. It's going to shift Strenthal to the inside, collect the 68 of Andrew Little here, and it sets them both spinning right in front of everybody else in that big group of cars. Harold Watkins almost squeaks by and gets a little left rear damage there, as the 68 still sliding up through the field. And now we're on board the number 1 of Michael Sheffield, as he has literally nowhere to go and just T-bones the 2's door panel.
Hard contact right there to the driver's side door of the 2 machine. Thank goodness it's a virtual car and not real life, because that would have really hurt. We've seen, obviously, back at Talladega, obviously earlier this year, Kyle Larson and Ryan Preece have a horrible wreck going into turn 2 with this car. And the way that the body and the shell of the car just shifted, and also the roll cage just crushed in and bent itself, it could have been really bad. So thank goodness for this being a virtual race car. Kevin Ruff does a nice job getting through that. A few other guys as well. But man, oh man, definitely something that you probably would have thought of, Jeremy, if that number 2 machine would have came up a little bit further, and then probably started to come up into that 23 machine. He probably would have turned the 23 instead of turning himself, but just he hit it in a spot that was a sweet spot enough to be able to turn himself rather than the 23 into that 68.
Yeah, 100% there. And there was a couple of close calls with multiple playoff drivers in that wreck. The worst, of course, is that number 2 is Trenthal. Came into this thing 12th in points, and he was a nice little 30 points outside of that cutoff zone. So he had to be in first place. And with that damage, I don't think that's any more a thing for the number 2. As you see the number 9, Richard Gonzalez, he's going to get his lucky dog presented by Martin Sports. So hashtag get a grip, lucky dog to the number 9, Richard Gonzalez. He's going to take his freebie lap around this track and get re-lined up with the field. And that's the first one handed out this evening. And I would imagine there's going to be plenty more to come. We have just under 10 laps to go before we're going to see stage end. So it's going to be a nice little shootout for us to watch. And shout out another one of our partners while we got the moment to do so. Martin Sports, speaking of which, small company with a big time product, home of the best gloves in sim racing. Some of the most durable gloves the sim world has ever seen, but they don't stop there. They also specialize in fully customized sublimation printing on everything from team uniforms to shirts and hoodies, allowing for zero restrictions on color, which for you guys gives you the absolute fastest turnaround in the business. So check out their full apparel lineup at martinsports.gg and use that promo code SUPERNERD. There in the green text there just above the ad read. It's going to save you 25% off anything you purchase from Martin Sports.
I think two things to look at here, Jeremy, is now we're under this second caution of the evening before we get back racing to end this first initial and only stage. Is number one, we didn't talk about it, but Nolan Potter did not start here tonight in that number 34 machine. He is currently listed as the 28th driver running. He has not made a lap. He came into tonight 7th in the playoffs, +6 above that cutoff line. So Nolan Potter ultimately, Jeremy, is not going to advance into the round of 8. And then if you really wanted to, you could cross off Zach Schrententhal. He is still in the pits getting some pit repairs done now. Actually, rather, he is out of the pits here. I think he's going to be okay running wise, but that number 2 machine had a lot of damage done to him, and I believe he's going to be a few laps down. I just don't see that number 2 probably getting back. So I want to say we could probably write off Zach Schrittenthal as advancing into the round of 8.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that repair looks like, but that hit to his right side door panel was heavy. I know it's a carbon composite body, so structurally on the actual body itself looks okay. As our producer Dustin is going to do a nice little 360 flyby with his. Somehow he's got a drone attached to every single car, and he's able to release it and fly it with steady camera feed here. The left side looks good. Nose looks good. You see a little scratched up, but they pulled out that fender there on the right rear, which is also important for downforce. So he might actually be okay just by the looks of it, though we don't know if he's got any um, issues with the suspension. All the wheels look like they're straight though, so we'll have to find out here in this little short run if he has the speed he had prior. As we got a quarter lap left before we're going to go back to green flag, resuming this race on lap 45. So it'll be a 6-lap shootout to the end.
Yeah, we're about to find out here, and obviously these stage points mean everything. If you're a driver like Ryan Bean, if you're, obviously Brock Potter, Adam Boughton, any of these guys that are inside this top 10 who need these stage points, I think you're going to see them get very, very aggressive here as we're coming to the green.
And here we are. Green flag is out. This race resumes. The 28 once more gets a great launch there over the 45, the 38, the 57. This time about 3 or 4 car lengths separates himself from the rest of the field. Going through 1 and 2, the 38 gets a little close to the 45's left rear, but the 45 Nathan Campbell in that best lane there. You see the 57 in that pink car just launch out of a cannon there on the exit of turn 2. That's such a strong corner here for this next and bump. Harold Watkins into the back of the 38. James Catrone. Playoff implications potentially here as they go 3 wide on the front straight.
That could have been huge right there. You saw the 57 get the shot. Thank goodness he did not get loose and get wrecked right in front of the field. But as I'm saying that, Harold Watkins with a problem goes down below the apron. I don't know if there was contact or what, but that's going to send him all the way outside the top 10 now. And that's one of those playoff drivers, needs those playoff points. Came in 5th, +14. If he were to get stage points, probably would have solidified him into making this next round had he would not have any issues. But now being outside that top 10, it's going to be very, very hard for him to try to make this next round here.
Yeah, they were 3 wide. He came up into the left rear of the 38 and made some contact, and they sent 23 sideways. He had to gather it up. Great job saving the car, by the way, too, but he lost a ton of positions. They're really congested here on the back straightaway. The 4 tried to make a move on Anthony Ludi, could not make it happen. They're going to remain 2 wide here. You see that 3 Bob Fitzpatrick run all the way up to the outside wall there. Diamonds, it comes down the track a little bit. You see the run he gets. He clears the 8, he clears the 4, and he gets about a 5 or a 4 car length advantage at most on the end of the front straightaway. So great run there on the top of the track.
Yeah, some great runs throughout most of this field here, trying to get up to the outside, utilize that top lane to their advantage. Lots of shuffling around those. You're seeing 3 wide here. Here comes the 4. He thought about going 3 wide. He will. Sticks it right down on the bottom lane. Almost made contact with James Catrone. Sends him back there about 2-3 spots. Look at this 4 of Brock Potter absolutely flying through this field, came into the pits, took tires on lap 41. He very well could pick up more and more points. They were 4 wide for a moment. He's going 3 back to 2, pinched up into the wall almost. Now he's going below Brian Fine. Great racing and a hard drive here for the 4 of Brock Potter.
Especially the 99 of Kevin Ruff. He put himself P5. He gets checked up by the 57 as he has an issue there in the center of 3 and 4. They're going to go back to 3 wide once more. White flag is out for this stage. Contact, heavy crash here. The 10 of Adam Bowden slams into the wall here with the number 3 of Bob Fitzpatrick. And it brings the 57 of Brian Fine as well. And this is stage caution here with this multi-car wreck.
Wow. I mean, Jeremy, we said these guys were going to get aggressive. Stage points meant everything. And you saw what happened right there. Brian Fine involved a hard crash into the outside wall there for the 10 machine. The 3 of Bob Fitzpatrick involved as well. Just a heavy impact to the outside wall here for this 10 machine.
Yeah, the 10 had a little bit of an issue here. I don't know if we can catch it from his angle. Remember, he comes into this race 9th place in points. The 10 had a little wiggle right at the start-finish line, moved him up just a sliver of a lane, and then he did it again, and then got oh so close to Brian Fine, and then Brian, I think, made one little lane change. It wasn't much. It was enough to make that contact happen between the 57 and the 10. Hooks the 10 in the right rear, sends him up the track, and of course you see those 3 guys have their crash right there on the entrance of turn number 1, and the 3 and the 10 get the worst of that one.
Yeah, just a tough break there for the number 10 machine, running so well there. Heartbreaker for him, no doubt about it, but this is going to end the stage here. Ryan Bean needed those stage points. We talked about it here, Jeremy. He's going to lead the field here down pit road.
And as they come down pit road, we're going to take our first break ourselves, go picture in picture. We'll be back before the drop of the green flag for stage 2. And back to full screen here as we got about a lap and a half or so before we go back to green flag racing on lap 55 coming up here for stage 2. And a little bit of a wreck there happening on pit road here with the number 5 and the number 82. That's Stan Carnathan and Matt Hayden. That's the tail end of that wreck where it happened. It all started when they tried to enter their pit stalls together. 82 did not recognize where the 5 stall was. They came in at the same time, and you're going to see the contact right here happen. Bumps the number 5. Kind of heavy impact there directly to the nose of Matt Hayden. And 82, I think, is just fine, but it took a while for this 5 to get sorted back into his pit stall here. Does a nice little 180 and takes a lot of time, and he's going to be at the tail end of the field for this.
Yeah, heartbreaker there for the number 5 machine and also the 82. But it happens. It's stage race, or not stage racing rather. It's coming on the pit road. Sometimes that happens. Unfortunately, it's a very rare instance that you see something like that happen. But thankfully, the damage wasn't dealt more extreme than that.
Yeah, 100%. We see half a lap left before we go to green flag. On the Facebook side, we see iRacing iFlag. That's Mr. Jeff, owner of iRacing iFlag, saying great coverage for the race, guys. Appreciate you for joining in and chatting with us, man. Hopefully you're enjoying what you're seeing so far and continuing for the remainder of this race, which we have just about 80 laps, just a hair over 80 laps to go in this event. And waiting for this pace truck to dip down to go green flag. My 3 sons said, "What was that, a crash in the pits?" Yes, it was. Doesn't happen too often, but it definitely happened here tonight. And we are back to green flag, and mentioned the number 4, Brock Potter, gets a lap led here. Remember, he's the 8th place guy right at the cutoff line, so that's a stage point for him. Or a lap led rather. I'm sorry, not stage, but he's going to get that. They're going to bring out the 4th different leader, 6 different lead changes here. As they're already 3 wide for 4th, 5th, and 6th.
3 wide indeed. Back to 2. That's Richie Coy and Nate Campbell side by side for a split second. Now they're going back to it here, this time off turn number 4. Ryan Bean trying to find a way around these guys. Had to back out of that 3 wide situation. Smart thinking by him. Knows that he has to have a good run. Doesn't want to put himself here in a really, really vulnerable spot here just halfway through this race.
Getting a little close right there. Richie Coy saying, "Sorry, Andrew," is off turn number 2. Almost makes some contact, if not did. But they stay straight. And the 19's going to make that pass on Andrew. Now the Ryan Bean, 28, he's going to go to the outside and make that quick work of Andrew Little as well. And here comes the 17 of Kevin Zabadil as well, as we are side by side for the race lead. The 26 of Blake Howell takes it in that preferred second groove there off turn 1 and 2.
And he's going to be able to take it there down the back straight away. And here comes Nate Campbell going to the inside of Brock Potter for position going through 3 and 4. Richie Coy went from the middle down to the bottom. He's going to try to get a 2-for-1 special coming off turn number 4. He very well could put it 3 wide on the 45 and 4, but they're back to 2 wide now as they're number 1.
It's 7 lead changes amongst 4 different drivers now. Blake Howell has it by a 0.2 of a second, or at least he did at the line. Here comes Nathan Campbell, door to door on the back straightaway. This is for the race lead at this time. 3 and 4 here. I think Nathan Campbell has the preferred groove once more. We'll see if the 26 has anything for him to maintain at least one more lap. Is not going to do it this time. 8 different lead change this evening.
And back down to the inside. Here comes Blake Howell going back for this race lead. Nate Campbell, though, he's going to charge hard back on the top side. Richie Coy throwing the slider on Ryan Bean. 45 nearly brushes the wall off turn number 2. But there's still a little contact made. The 45 thought about chopping off the 26. Nearly lost it. They had to back out of the gas. And now they find themselves in the clutches of the 19 and the 28 this time at the line.
Yeah, stacking them up here. 3 different teams amongst the top 4 right now, led by SJR 26 there, Blake Howell, but Stealth Motorsports 45 gets a great launch off of turn 2 once more. Richie Coy there in the 19 really got slideways off corner exit. He had to back it up there. He's going to fall back to 4th place. It allows Ryan Bean in the 28 to get to 3rd.
And that allowed Ryan Bean to have a huge run there. That was some, almost near catastrophic contact. going through 3 and 4. They were able to save it. Here comes Kevin Ruff up through that bottom. Now he's going to have Michael Carter, a driver we haven't talked about all night long, on the bottom side of him, exiting turn number 2. They're your 2 highest moving drivers of the race so far. Kevin up 16, Michael up 14, so they're making their way up through this field quickly.
Yeah, they really are, as we're kind of panning on there at the number 11, Alexander Hodge. He's on the upper half of this little group of cars, trying to get to the outside now of the 68 Angel Little through 1 and 2, which is that preferred groove for most of these guys out here. And here he goes. He's going to make quick work to get to the door panel and to make that pass happen. That second groove is just so impressive right now.
Yeah, definitely really impressive. And obviously, we've talked about a majority of this night how that second groove really does work. And in 3 and 4, I think that top side is probably the best lane to be. The bottom can work, but that top side has been a place with huge momentum-based runs off these corners. That could be the place on the racetrack where you're going to see the pass for the lead here at some point later on in this race for the win.
Yeah, you can see the first 2 lanes have rubbered in, and we would imagine that third lane will be there eventually as it continues to darken up on that as we're approaching lap number 64. So getting close to the halfway point in this race, just a handful of laps away from that. Nathan Campbell, the 45, stretched out to a 0.3 of a second lead over second place Blake Howell, and Ryan Bean right now all over the back bumper of Blake, trying to get himself in the P2.
Yeah, and down to the back of that 26 machine to the inside here. These 2 guys talked about how they were going to race rough, probably more than likely, and they have done a lot of aggressive driving here. No contact between these 2 at all, though, here tonight. 2 of the best in the business here in the RSR. Near contact, though, coming off for the 26. Gets to the 28's door. 28 goes below the line right there, and the 19 machine of Richie Coy, he finds himself with an opportunity to get a 2-for-1 off turn 2.
They had a little bit of an issue personally last week, and thankfully they're keeping it professional here tonight, not making contact, but still producing some great racing here on the backstretch to turn 3, still side by side. This is allowing Richie to just kind of hang tight and see exactly what happens here. Still side by side off corner exit 4 at the line. It looks like it's going to belong to the 26 that lap for P2.
Yeah, but still some great battle between these 2 going on down into 1 and 2. Now, Richie Coy tries to utilize that outside, or that second groove, rather. Just can't do it yet there as he works down. He's going to try to thought about going 3 wide there for a moment, all the way to the bottom, but he's still stuck right behind these 2, and this is just allowing Nate Campbell to get further and further out ahead.
That caution on lap number 49 with the number 10 of Adam Boughton. He has backed out of the server. He was 9th place in the points, so his championship hopes are officially done with the exit of the server. But jumping back to the 2nd and 3rd place, still awesome racing going on for about 3 solid laps in a row as finally some contact happens. Ryan Bean with a little door check to the 26 on corner exit is still going to remain side by side here, and the frustrations are probably building up for the 28, saying I'm a little bit faster, I just cannot make the pass. So now he's trying little things here and there to make this pass complete, but still, this is great for the 45 to watch, and Richie's just learning a lot right now between these 2.
I don't think Richie's just watching and learning. I think he's just watching with probably some popcorn in hand right now, more than likely. I mean, these 2 have been side by side for about the last 5 or 6 laps. Maybe one of them will finally get the better of one another. 28 back down to the bottom again. He's going to drive through this corner here. 26 finally lets the 28 go by. Maybe the 26 still wanted to run him hard there, but we know these 2 guys very, very good at what they do. I can't imagine the 26 wanted to keep going, probably wanted to save his tires, knew he was burning them up. There goes Richie Coy, passes him for the 3rd spot.
26, after letting the 28 by, just lets easy work for Richie Coy, recognizing 19 is in a similar situation. It's going to bring the 26 back to the inside groove here, which I think he prefers to run there when he can. As we jump back a little bit here, this is for the 11. Oh, they got the 24, makes some contact. That's Michael Carter, the outside wall. He's going to lose 2 or 3 spots there doing so. As we see Brian Fine following Alexander Hodge on that second groove. Stan Carnathan still utilizing the 3rd groove here through 1 and 2 as he continues to be one of the highest running cars in the field when it comes to which groove he chooses in each corner.
You know, and that's the thing, that this 82 machine, he's been fast all night long. just can't really get up there as we say that. He gets really loose coming off turn number 4. He's able to save it, though. Going to check up this field slightly. Everybody will migrate up to the top lane, that being Carnathan, rather, but Brian Fine, Alexander Hodge. Here comes Justin Henry, James Catrone as well, trying to get around this 82. Whoa, loosey-goosey they go off turn number 2, that being the 57 and the 85. Near controversy coming off turn 2.
We're starting to set in for some of these guys as this run continues to progress. Almost 20 laps into this one in particular. It's going to make everyone single file for the time being here on the front straightaway. As they're kind of settling for the mid to long run right now. Jumping back to your race leader, the 45. Nathan Campbell has a 0.4 of a second lead over his teammate Ryan Bean. I think this is a great time to shout out one of our partners, this time at Dusty Pete's, the official hobby shop of the Nerditudes. It's a hobby store with a whole lot more based out of New York. Dusty Pete's is your one-stop shop for many things nerdy. If collecting is the game, Dusty Pete's is the name. From figurines, action figures, collectible cards, such as Magic, Pokemon, and sports cards alike, die-cast replicas, and a plethora of comics to choose from. So if you're young or old and want to add to your collection, look no further than DustyPete's.com and use promo code SUPERNERD for 10% off anything you do purchase.
Yeah, some great action all over this racetrack right now, Jeremy, as most guys kind of have strung themselves out a little bit here, but you're also seeing a lot of side-by-side battle. Let's take a look here at the iRacing iFlag track map here just to see how spread out everybody has gotten. Not really so far, and it just goes to show you how good this package is here. It's so tight. The racing is so, cut teeth when it comes time to race here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Ever since this next-gen car debut has provided a lot of great racing. It just goes to show you that nobody can really get away from one another. You see some separation here throughout this back half of the field past Andrew Little in this 68 machine. But besides that, everybody up at the front, pretty close together.
That kind of like a semi-question for you, Jason. I don't know if you've tuned into the Actions Gentlemental podcast. You see Alexander gets a little loose right in front of Rusty Modesty. He's going to slide up in front and does not cause anything there. I thought maybe there was going to be a wreck, but they were saying there's a lot of chatter about Las Vegas being the season finale race and what we're seeing on-track product. I don't think that's a bad option. What do you think?
Yeah, I do listen to the Actions Detrimental podcast. I listen to most NASCAR podcasts, at least the big ones, obviously. Stacking Pennies, Door Bumper Clear, the Dale Jr. Download, all the good ones, obviously. Oh, Brian Fine nearly in the wall off turn number 2. But see, with racing like that, I would not be shocked if at one point this track did become the finale for the NASCAR Cup Series. I mean, you think about back with the IZOD IndyCar Series earlier on, had it not been for the terrible, terrible crash, at the end there in 2011, or not the end rather, but in those first few laps in 2011 that ultimately lost the life of Dan Weldon. That place could have been a huge, huge moneymaker for the IZOD IndyCar Series at the time, now known as the NTT Data IndyCar Series. I could see this place definitely becoming, at some point down the road here, maybe past 2025, 2026, a potential candidate to be the finale for the NASCAR Cup Series. I mean, look at it. You got what better city to do it in than Las Vegas? Put all your chips on the table, create some championship controversy. I could see this track definitely becoming a championship caliber race.
26, Blake Howell, so barely loose off turn 2. Lost a lot of ground to the top 3 right now as Richie Coy's going to get to the bottom of the 28. I think he might have gotten him a little bumper tap there on corner exit. It's going to set himself up for a great pass opportunity through 1 and 2 and makes it happen. Richie Coy up to P2 right now, continuing to impress us here with his fixed setup skills. But that last little argument here for making this the season finale, what they said is it's a NASCAR event. And this track is not owned by NASCAR. It's owned by Marcus Smith. So Marcus has to probably pay up a boatload of money if he wants this to make the season finale, or else it's going to belong to a NASCAR-owned racetrack.
Yeah, more than likely. I mean, that's the thing, obviously. SMI, they have so much. They've done so much between, the Bristol Motor Speedway, the Charlotte Roval, the newly reconfigured Atlanta Motor Speedway. SMI does so much for this sport. and Marcus Smith, very, very great guy. I've had the opportunity to be in the presence of around him at Dover Motor Speedway. Such a guy that back in 2022 for that spring race at Dover, when we ran on a Monday, not enough college kids were able to attend their jobs as, ticket scanners. And Marcus Smith was out there right off turn number 4 scanning tickets by himself. So it just goes to show you that he cares a lot about this sport, wants to make sure that these fans and really the whole SMI group wants to make sure that these fans have a great experience. So like I said, I would not be surprised if down the line this track at some point did become a championship caliber race.
That's cool that you pointed that out. I did not know about that particular stat of helping out the ticket scans and whatnot. That man's well versed and quite helpful where needed. We jump a little bit back to the racing action here. Richie Coy exactly 3/10 back from the race lead, and then things have kind of tamed down really here in the top 10. Alexander working around the 38 of James Catrone. That's really the only battle minus the top few guys in the field. They've kind of really spaced out. There's a couple more battles throughout the field, but this is the first time in 80 laps that we have seen kind of a lull point in this race. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our second picture-in-picture commercial break. We'll be back here momentarily. And back to full screen action here is we are on lap number 90 of scheduled 135. So it's going to be 46-45 at the line with the leader this time, which is the number 28 of Ryan Bean, as the 45 has given up the lead and the position on track. He's the first out of the top 5 to come down pit road, as we're seeing green flag pit stops underway. I think we saw a couple of guys in the back pit a lap or so ago, like the number 68 of Andrew Little, but now seeing the leaders come down pit road, we're going to start to see this thing open wide open here.
Yeah, and that's the thing now. Now that obviously the 45 wants to try to leapfrog, when are others going to pit? Here comes Nathan Campbell, also Blake Howell, Richie Coy, Kevin Ruff. They are all on pit road, not wanting to get leapfrogged by the fresher tires on the Nathan Campbell machine. So they're in. This is going to be their final stops for the day. If this race does go green all the way to the end, you see Matt Hayden, Rusty Modesty, Jimmy Fitzmaurice. He's in pit road as well. Lots of guys electing to come in once that 45 pitted.
Oh, yeah. Now, that was the signal to have everybody else maybe make that move. The Ford did lead the lap last time, but now the number 4, Brock Potter, he's going to come down pit road, and now James Catrona in the 38 will get himself a lap lead, which is, now this is where my stat starts to go astray here. I think this is about the 10th or 11th lead change amongst 5 or 6 different drivers at this point. At any moment in time, the 38 now is going to come down pit road knowing he's got a lap lead underneath his belt, and he's going to pass the throne maybe to Alexander Hodge in the 11 or the 17 of Calvin Zabladil, as they're racing right behind them for now second and third.
Yeah, James has really had a solid night here tonight. He's kind of just, I think, trying to, make sure he can advance into the next round. He doesn't need to win. He doesn't need to finish insane. He just needs to have a good night. And he was able to obtain some stage points from that first and only stage. So, that just made him all much more comfortable above that cutoff line. So that's probably why he's able to stay out longer than when he's able to. And Kevin Zabaldil, Alexander Hodge, 2 guys not in the playoffs. Justin Henry, they're all, obviously just trying to go for strategy. Maybe hope for a late race yellow here. Stretch it as long as they can and see if we can get a yellow. We saw that last night in the Mach 1 Cup. We very well could see it here.
Yeah, very well. We saw the 8 come down last lap. Here's the 94. He's making his pit stop here. Yeah, came in a little bit hot there, locked them up. I think he was down to speed, no problem, at least from my end anyways. The top 3 still stay out. The 85, Justin Hendrick, kind of sneaking in here late in this pit stop. He's still running P4 now, as we're still cycling through these pit stops. The number 28, Ryan Bean, who has already come down pit road. He is almost about to get his lap back the hard way, followed by his teammate, the number 45, and everybody else. So they're just about a quarter of a track or so away from doing so, but we're still expecting the 38 to come down. This is not the first time the 38's really extended out a long green flag run. You've seen us do it once or twice more. It had about a 20 lap difference between the first and the last pit stop. Did not work out for him too well. It did a little bit for him that last time he did, I think about a month ago. I try to remember the track. Maybe our Jason, who has a memory bank like no other, can pull that stat out of his hat. But that probably going to put him on pit road probably the next 10 or 15 laps at most. And there's 23 Harold Watkins making his way down.
Yeah, I might have the mind of a monk and whatnot, but I can't remember certain things like that. My mind is kind of very selective. So, maybe it'll come back to me. We'll have to see here. But look at this. We're having a battle for the lead. Kind of heat up a little bit. Zabladil, Hodge, they're going to go to the top in the middle lane. Try to get that run on Catrone off turn number 2. But the 17 kind of cut that corner back down a little bit earlier than I think he wanted to. It's hurting them right now, staying out, obviously. They're hoping on a caution. You see Ryan Bean, he was able to get ahead of the 45 machine, pitting right when he did, but the 45 was able to, come up a few positions. Now they're 3 wide, back to 2. This 45, though, he has the opportunity, nearly makes contact with his teammate for the race lead going into 1, and next time by, it'll be 36 laps to go. Ryan Bean and Nathan Campbell. This is going to be the battle for the lead if this race goes green all the way to the end, and they have just gotten their lap back from these 3 right here.
Ryan being able to shoot up in front of those guys before corner entrance of turn one last lap, able to give him a nice run down the back straightaway to cause a little more separation between him and the 45. They are back on the lead lap, so 9 cars at this time hold that spot, while these other guys have not come down pit road yet. We see the 5 of Matt Hayden. He's on his, or 13 rather, Jerry Culver. Sorry about that. Culver's on pit road there. You see the number 85 Justin Hendry, he came down pit road as well. So we got about 7 or 6 cars left to do so before this pit cycle completely cycles through.
Yeah, but like I talked about here, Jeremy, these guys who are stayed out and aren't being caught by Ryan Bean, Nathan Campbell for the time being, they are going to stay out as long as they can until a yellow. And with the racing we're seeing, we very well could have that late race yellow. Here comes Hodge, though, to the inside. Him and Zabadil got by Catrone. Catrone's falling now to the clutches of Richie Coy and Kevin Ruff, 2 guys trying to get their laps back, and Richie is currently right behind them. This is going to be really tight off turn 4. Oh, and off the front bumper, the 11 of Hodge nearly gets turned off Richie Coy, and that's the thing. Richie Coy had nowhere to go, trying to get back to the gas to be able to get by without losing a position to the 99. Ultimately, Kevin Ruff now more than 5 car lengths ahead of that 19.
Tough call to make, but the 19 of Richie Coy made the bad choice there in 3 and 4 to go to the bottom. The top lane there in 3 and 4 was wide open, and Richie elected to take the bottom and got really congested, had to check up a lot, as you saw on camera. There's the 38 James Catrone giving up that top spot there. Now to the 17 Kevin Zabadil with his first lap led this evening here. That's probably what he was waiting on. He might come down shortly after getting that bonus point.
Yeah, maybe this is a possibility, obviously, but these guys have been out now for over 50 laps. You got to think that Kevin Zabadil, and Alexander Hodge, Stan Carnathan, Robert Fitzpatrick, they're all going to pit here pretty soon. I mean, they could still definitely be banking it on a caution. I just don't think it's going to work out for them just by how spread out everybody is. Oh, and I say it, the 4. Oh, my goodness, what a save. The 4 of Brock Potter nearly loses it going into turn 1 off of the door of Blake Howell trying to merge back up. You take a look at the replay right here, Jeremy.
Yeah, it makes the contact, gets loose, and that would have been championship ending for the number 4. Being in the top 10 all night long, and one mental error like that could have just done him in, but thankfully he got on the binders, kept it straight, and he lost a lot of tire wear there, maybe some flat spot situations, but he's still in the race. That's the most important part there.
Yeah, definitely an important part there for the 4 of Brock Potter, a guy who does not need to wreck this late in the race, lose all those points, and obviously be knocked out and advancing into the round of 8. He's sitting good right now, wants to make sure he stays in that top 10. He just got his lap back now over that 17 of Kevin Zabadil. This is kind of just a waiting game, Jeremy, rather. This is right now, there's not really a lot going on the racetrack, and that really is all because of this green flag cycle. Look at the iRacing iFlag track map. It's a lot more strung out than the last time we brought up the iRacing iFlag track map. It was much more condensed. There was about 1 to 2 packs. Now you're seeing drivers all separated by about a second, 2 seconds, few car lengths. It's definitely become a lot more spread out. Stan Carnathan now finally elects to come to pit road. This is just a game of chess right now, and it's waiting to see what will Kevin Zabadil's move be. Will he pit this time? Will he stay out, stretch it all the way until the car runs dry? And the same goes for Alexander Hodge, Robert Fitzpatrick, or will we see a yellow? It's just a waiting game right now.
Yeah, the 82 Stan Carnathan, excellent pit entrance there. Did he stay out too long, though? That's the question. As we're still waiting just for a handful more people to come down pit road. Kevin Zabadil still leading the way on lap 108. So we got just under 30 laps to go in this event here for the 213 SimWear 200.
And Kevin Zabadil, obviously we talk about him wanting to stay out, hoping for that yellow. Not a guy in the playoffs. The same for Hodge, Robert Fitzpatrick. They're all just waiting for that yellow. I just don't think they're going to get it right now. So we'll have to see how it plays out for them. But look at this right now. Nathan Campbell, he has caught Ryan Bean right behind the 48 machine there. of that is, or not the 48 rather. That's Fitzpatrick Sr. actually, or yes, it is the 48 of Fitzpatrick there. And look at Campbell trying to get to the outside. This is a battle for the win. Remember, Ryan Bean, that's a teammate behind him. But with that being said, he still wants to be able to race this 45 the hardest he can to make sure he can clutch up and get that win here tonight in advance.
100% there. Even though their teammates, they're going to be trying everything to win this race. Especially the 28 having that penalty during the weekend, essentially, knowing he has to get this job done. You're going to see him fight for his life here at the end of this race as we get to the line on lap 110. So 26 laps to go in this event. You see the 17 of Zappendale back on your screen. He is running the top of this track, trying everything he can to extend this run, but just a little too far strung out, I think.
I thought Nathan Campbell just had an issue. I just saw his name shoot way down the scoring pylon all of a sudden. Might be a connection issue. That's usually what tends to happen when you see somebody like that. On our side of things here, behind the scenes, you see that 45. He all of a sudden just dropped out of the session, came right back in. So that's a connection issue that we were going to have to monitor on that 45 machine. Doesn't need something like that to happen this late in the race, Jeremy. If he were to have a trouble with his connection and ultimately fall out of the session, that would eliminate Nathan Campbell from advancing to the next round.
Yeah, only one little minor thing like that, something completely out of your control, can take you in or out of the further into the playoffs, into the round of 8 for the final 3 races of the 2023 season. As we're kind of looking through the field a little bit, Harold Watkins, you got Rusty Modesty right there on the upper half of turn 4. You got Matt Hayden, the 5 right in front there. Andrew Little in the top half of your screen there in the orange and white car. As we're going a little bit of drone style camera here through 1 and 2 and onto the front stretch rather. And still really spaced out. And that's just a product of green flag pit stops. This is what you see typically, is you see all this spaced out, people pit in different ways, conservative, aggressive, and this track's a little difficult to get onto the flat, but then thankfully this track has a lot of room to get on the binders to slow your car down.
Yeah, and I really like this call by Kevin Zabadil. Obviously, it's not going to play out to his favor if he doesn't get that yellow, but everybody has to avoid him. Everybody has to get around him. All in the meanwhile, they are still racing for position. So this very well, him being a roadblock in a sense, and not in a mean way, just him being a roadblock with the slower tires could prevent him or prevail him with that strategy. Everybody could be trying to get around him. Next thing you know, there's a wreck. The caution comes out. He'll be that later. Everybody will come in to take tires. And that 17 and that 11 machine of Alexander Hodge, they're going to look like geniuses here. And now, obviously, they have over the 17 does rather, over a 15-second gap. It is dwindling down, though. The 11 has a 12.5-second gap over the 28 machine. So this strategy so far playing into their favor. They're just going to need that yellow, but it's got to come soon.
Yeah, it's got to come real soon. These leaders, or the 28 and the 45, are multiple seconds faster than your race leaders this time, who have not come down pit road. Get really racy right around the 17. This the 38 and the 68. Making some gains here. Contact between the 68 and the 17. Not what Kevin Zabadil wants to see or feel in his race car. Through the exit of turn 2, looks like they're going to get clear momentarily. And, man, I could have been troublesome there trying to play all that strategy and have it erased at the final move. But 33s are going to push up Kevin Zabadil, and they're going to go 3 wide through turn 4.
Man, just some hard racing here late in the going. Everybody fighting for every position, even if you're not in these playoffs. That's the thing with these RSR guys. They want to fight for every spot. They put on one heck of a show here, and you're seeing that late in this going with under 20 laps to go. And who is this coming down? Alexander Hodge finally gives in. Probably ran that thing dry if I had to imagine. These cars are going to start to run out of fuel soon if they don't pit. You saw it with the 11. This 17 very well here, Jeremy. Could be saving a little bit of fuel here. The gap's kind of maintained a little bit now. You're not really seeing this 28 gain a whole lot of time like he was, because now they're both in the 31s. Zabadil's running a 31.766. Being last time around 31.168. So they're all in that 31-second bracket range. Obviously, this 17 though, he's like I said, he's gonna need that caution real soon.
He's coming down this time. He was on the radio saying, I'm pitting, and here he is, slowing it down, getting the exit of turn 4, nice and smooth onto the flat on pit road, and this will cycle through the entire field and back to the number 28, Ryan Bean, who's off of turn number 4 now, passing that number 11, Alexander Hodge, and Alexander's going to put a little bit of competition here with the 20, and this is going to allow the door to open up for the 45 of Nathan Campbell potentially here as they go through turns 1 and 2 with the fresher tires of number 11. He does make it clear, but now the 45 is at the back bumper once more of his teammate.
Tried to use Hodge as a pick, but Hodge just had those fresher tires, drove right on by those two guys. Now Ryan Bean's goal is to defend from his teammate as the 45 really tight off turn number 4, loses about a car length between him and that 28. But this 45 here, Jeremy, I just think that he is way better than his teammate on this long run. He is running that middle of the racetrack in 1 and 2 a lot better than Bean is on the bottom. And here we go, the 45 crossover almost thought about going to the bottom, just not able to do it right there. He'll head back to the middle now in 3 and 4, following the tire tracks of his teammate through 4.
Nathan had a great run in 1 and 2. It was about a 3 or 4 mile an hour difference on corner exit. He had the opportunity to look to the right-hand side of the 28, but he knew his teammate was going to put the block on it, so he thought better of it, lifted a little bit. He's going to reset. He runs just a groove higher than his teammate right there again in 1 and 2. It makes a great effort. He's going to go to the inside this time and take a look at the bottom of 3 and 4.
Race lead, Nathan Campbell trying everything he can do to get to that bottom and take away that lead from his teammate. But Ryan Bean says, not so soon, buddy. He's trying his hardest to run the 45 away from him. And it looks like Ryan Bean might actually give in, and that 45 is going to clear him. But the 28 with a crossover move, almost able to do it. He'll get back to the back bumper, but Nathan Campbell clear of his teammate for the race lead here in Vegas.
I love when the teammates can race it out like this. We know the 45 is basically locked into the playoffs for the next round of 8. The 28 came into this race knowing he had to either win or have a lot of things go his way, and it looks like it's done so at this time. But the 28 is still not locked in, so the fact that they're still racing, that just means they don't care. They're out here having some fun regardless. They're kind of cycling through a little bit. There's the 26 of Blake Howell running 5th place at this time. Right in front of him, Kevin Ruff in that 99 up from 22nd to 4th place in this field. So overall, one of the highest moving cars here tonight is that 99 and doing a great job as the 28 all over the bumper still of his teammate.
Yeah, doing a great job of Kevin Ruff there in that 4th position. Just not going to be enough tonight. He might need that late race yellow, but man, this has been a hell of a battle to watch up here. Going for this top spot, the 28 wants this win. Feels like he was almost, in a sense, Jeremy, robbed last weekend. Obviously made that contact with Blake Howell late in that race. Ultimately caused him to get, a little bit sideways and, wasn't able to come back. I mean, he just wasn't able to pass the 26 machine. And now that he doesn't have that, he's battling his teammates. So you don't want to wreck a teammate here late in the going with almost 10 laps to go coming around this time. You don't want to wreck a teammate for the win, but you want that win more than ever.
You really do. This is he's got plenty of trophies this season, but this is probably the most important one if he can get it done. Knowing the points are still kind of close, depending on where the other guys finish behind him. And he's just taking all the air off the spoiler, and it's still not allowing the 45 to budge one bit. As they're now going to go side by side for the first time here. The 28 in the preferred groove here in 1 and 2. And this might do it. And here we go. Quick work is made. Ryan Bean back to the point. He wiggles, though, on corner exit and still gets the momentum. New leader 28, Ryan Bean.
It's going to be a heck of a battle all the way to the end. And who's loving this is right there. That guy, Richie Coy. He's been running faster lap times every single lap by about 2 to 3 tenths on these guys. The more they get side by side, the closer Richie Coy very well could get to them. I just don't know if it's going to be enough time now with less than 9 laps to go. Richie Coy is going to need them to door bang, get loose, nearly wreck or something if he's going to want them to get to his front bumper, or simply he's just going to need a caution.
Yeah, Richie's last time was a 31.373, which is identical to Ryan Bean's lap time at a 372. So matching the time definitely will not get the 19 there. As now, since they're spaced out first and second place, that's just going to help progress this lead a little bit away from the 19 as we're kind of focusing now onto the top five section of the tail end of the top five, rather, with the 99 of Kevin Ruff, the 4 of Brock Potter. This is for fourth and fifth on the track, and Blake Howell for sixth.
Into the inside, Brock Potter trying to get past Kevin Ruff for that fourth spot. Blake Howell just waiting in the wings for something to happen with those two, but just not enough. But look at this move to the outside. Blake Howell trying to make it work. The 4 is going to chop him off there. But here comes Brock. He'll move down to the inside of Kevin to the start-finish line. 7 laps to go, and this 26 could get a 2 for 1 here off 2.
Brian, the very top of 1 and 2 this time. Let's see if that works for him. Not too many guys have made strong runs, and not going to work for the 26 this time. He's going to lose a car length or so on the 99 and the 4. Coming to turn number 3, he's going to make it up on corner entry, and it looks like the 9 is going to go a little tight in turn 4. It's going to allow Blake to potentially look to the bottom. Does not get there. They're going to remain single file here at the line. 6 laps to go.
Great battling all over this racetrack, even for positions that aren't even for the lead, all the way back from 14th and 15th, all the way to 9th and 10th, all the way to 4th and 5th, and so on. Great battling going on, and with this battling obviously presents us with the opportunity for a caution maybe, and I know I keep saying that, but it's the honest truth. Last night we went in the overtime for the Mach 1 Performance Cup Series guys over on the FTSR side of things here for us on Monday. And with these guys racing hard as they are, very well could see a late race yellow, but we really haven't seen the amount of cautions, Jeremy, here in the second half of the race. Do you think we could see one?
I mean, the potential is there for sure. It doesn't look like it, though, unless you're looking at the 99 and 26, which is the closest battle on the track at this point. And this is for the position for 5th place. As for Brock Potter holds 4th place right now. Oh, right in front of the 94, makes some contact on the outside wall. But the 99 is going to hold off Blake Howell once more at the start-finish line this time. Now 4 laps to go.
Great battling all the way around like we had stated. And now I think Ryan Bean, though, here at Jeremy, starting to settle in, trying to pull up with a clutch moment. Remember, didn't need to win the race, but it looks like he's going to do possibly just that if he can hang on here this time by at the line. 3 more laps for the driver of that 28 machine, trying to get redemption from last week at the Roval.
Yeah, he's got a 1.5 second lead right now. Nathan Campbell the past couple laps has fallen off a lot. So Ryan Bean's in a very, very comfortable position here. He's going to get to the line with 2 laps to go this time, and he just needs to hit his marks, does not need to run fast lap times, and this 28 is going to race himself into the round of 8 with 3 races remaining in this 2023 season. At the line, 2 laps to go, and he's going to extend his lead by another 10th or 2 this time.
And what a strong run here for Ryan Bean. Said, okay, you want to take away 50 points from me? I'm going to take those points, and then I'm going to run with them that I earn here in this race, and he is doing just that. What a strong run out of the 28. You can see him right out of the gate being aggressive, doing what needs to be done against the 26, the 45. It doesn't matter, and he's just got to hold on now over a second and a half. One more time. White flag is out. 1 lap to go here for this 28 machine, trying to get his 8th win of the season here as he heads down the Nellis back straight away for the final time.
Very easy job here. Just 2 more corners, and you got it locked up here. Very smooth 3. Same deal for turn 4. In your winning moment here for the number 28, Ryan Bean, going to grab his 8th checker flag in the second half of the 2023 season. Congratulations, Ryan Bean. You are moving on to the round of 8.
Run for the 28, capitalizes when he needs to. And now with that win, that's going to obviously lock him in to the next round of the playoffs. And by the look of it, just sheerly based on the fact of the points earned from that stage, it looks like that Anthony Ludi will be eliminated along with Nolan Potter Adam Boughton and Zach Schrintenthal, and it looks like we're going to have our final 8 that will compete here, Jeremy, for these last 3 races.
Yep, and you'll see those points updated momentarily as they get later on into the night on the RSR side of things. And we're going to see the 28 going to do his celebratory burnout here. And there's a lot of space on this track to not hit the wall, and he looks to take the safe route into the grass to do his burnouts. And with that being said, we're going to go over the finishing order for tonight's 213 SimWear 200. Ryan Bean's going to take home P1, Nathan Campbell second place, Richie Coy ends up in third, Brock Potter fourth, Kevin Ruff in fifth, Blake Howell sixth, James Catrone finishes P7, Kevin Zabadell 8th place, Justin Hendry in 9th, and Harold Watkins in the 23 finishes in 10th.
11th place, Rusty Modesty with another solid performance here tonight. Brian Fine, didn't talk about him much, but he comes home 12th. Stan Carnathan comes home in that 13th position. You have Alexander Hodge. He'll come home in that 14th position. Matt Hayden, 15th. Little, 16th. Fitzmaurice, 17th. Jerry Culver, 18th. 19th is Anthony Ludi. Heartbreaker for him here tonight as well. And then Robert Fitzpatrick Sr. comes home in the 20th spot.
21st, Steve Potter. 22nd place, Richard Gonzalez. 23rd, Michael Carter. 24th, and everybody else on back had backed out from the session. So Zach Strengthenall, Bob Fitzpatrick, Adam Boughton, Michael Sheffield, and Nolan Potter rounds out tonight's 28-car entrance. Nolan Potter made a very late entrance, did not turn any times whatsoever, but got himself into the session, so put him on the board. So I'm going to call him out. 28th place for that 34. And it is our time to go to a full screen commercial break. Gather up tonight's top 3. We'll be back here shortly. And welcome to the Martin Sports Post Race Show. I do believe we got our top 3 gathered up here this evening for the 213 SimWear 200. First one into the booth. Very known place for this man, number 19, Richie Coy. Congratulations on P3.
What's up, nerds? How's it going?
What's up, man? We're doing pretty good here this evening. Great race overall, and you've completed over 300 laps at Las Vegas in a 24-hour stretch. So congratulations to that. And you ran up front with these guys. You did pretty good in this fixed setup stuff. So you starting to get a hang of it a little bit more?
A little bit. This setup was it was interesting. It started out tight and then went super loose. So yeah, I mean, it was all about tires and trying to keep my tires under me and keep me not driving too fast, too quickly. And I was able to keep up with them. I was able to race them for most of the race, and then I lost 3 seconds somewhere on pit road, and that's where I stayed for the rest of the race.
I know, Richie, that a lot of guys who tend to drive the open setup stuff, like yourself included, they like to stick to that open stuff. But obviously, coming over here running the fixed racing, do you like it? Is there anything different that you wish they would do with it? I mean, because it looks like every week you're coming out here and you're showing up. I mean, now 6 starts, you finished top 10 now every single one of the starts you've made here.
Well, so with the open setup, you can tailor the car a little bit more to your driving style. Whereas with an open setup, you have to tailor your driving style to the setup. And every week I come back, the setups are a little bit different than the last track. So have to do a lot of work on trying to change my driving style. Like tonight, I had to drive the track completely different than I did last night because last night the car felt completely different. So it is a bit of a driver change, and because there's not a lot that you can do to the car, like I said, you have to actually change your driving style, and that's been the biggest challenge so far is relearning how I have to change my driving style to suit the setup.
That was really well said there too, man. And this is your third podium since you've joined this league over at RSR, and so congrats on that. 3 races left, and I think you're going to continue that top 10 streak here, by the sounds of it, by the looks of it, man. So good luck the rest of the way. But the floor is yours. Final thoughts before we let you go this evening.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're gonna do the best we can each week. I'm not in the playoffs, so I'm just running to run and try to get as good a finish as we can. We should have had a. I know we got fourth at Bristol, but I felt we had a car good enough to win Bristol. So we're going to Homestead, Martinsville, and Phoenix, which are three of my favorite tracks. So hopefully we can do something there. But I got to thank the league for letting me in. Again, they let me in pretty late, right before the playoffs. So I'm trying not to screw up anybody in the playoffs, but as I'm trying to do the best I can. But thanks to my team, and as always, thanks to you guys.
Well, appreciate you, man. We're gonna go ahead and let you go, and we'll catch you on Monday.
All right, man.
All right, sounds good. Have a good night.
Night.
That was number 19, Richie Coy, with a great third place finish here this evening. And then now it's time to bring in the Stealth Motorsports drivers. First up, Nathan Campbell. They're in the 45. Mr. Campbell, do you have a copy?
Yeah, how's it going, guys?
Hey, man, going pretty good up here. A lot of position changes within the top 5 alone. You and your teammate Ryan, of course, broke out late in the going and kind of dominated the back half of the race. You and him put on a great performance there, but I noticed your car just kind of slipped back there at the very end. Did you run a little too hard, a little too early on that last run?
Oh yeah, we were comparing tires, and it is a huge difference. So it's hilarious. Just running the different line just changes that just slightly. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but every single lap I was doing something a little different than Bean, and kind of frustrating now because obviously if I would just had a little bit more discipline, I probably could have stayed with him all the way to the end. But I'm not sure if I would have got him. Obviously, Bean's super fast like usual. But all in all, it was enough to stay in front of everybody else. So I think a bunch of us are advancing on stealth. So that's exciting. I think it's probably the most people we've ever had in the top 8. So hopefully slot all 4 stealth guys in the final 4. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would definitely make a huge statement for you guys over at Stealth, being the dominators this season between you uh, and obviously Ryan. But, Nate, obviously you talk about how you were moving around, noticing it, and we did notice you were running multiple different lines. We noticed, I think your strongest point was probably through the center of 1 and 2. A lot of guys tend to run that middle lane due to more and more bumps down on the bottom side rather than the middle or top. Do you think that this track, compared to more of the mile-and-a-half racetracks, is one of those tracks where I know we talk about with these mile-and-a-half races, okay, you can run bottom, middle, top, but this track, out of the last couple of years, ever since this car became a thing here, I mean, it just seems like this track really puts the emphasis on multi-groove.
Yeah, it does for sure. And I was trying to copy Bean through 3 and 4, like later in the runs, even out throughout practice throughout the week and, earlier tonight. And it seems like on old tires, whenever I get down to the white line, that I'd get loose and just about loop it. So he's doing a great job sticking it to that white line every lap. That's kind of why I was moving up. I just didn't feel the most comfortable down there, especially in 3 and 4. I mean, 1 and 2, obviously, you feel like you can do whatever you want. But 3 and 4 was definitely the difference maker tonight, and I think it just destroyed my right front, and that's essentially what just let Bean just walk away there at the end. So again, good race by him.
Yeah, good race by you too, man. No doubt about it. But the floor is yours. Final thoughts before we let you go this evening.
Yeah, just thank all the family and friends that are watching like usual. Thank you guys for being up in the booth. Big shout out to Ludi this week. Sheffield, obviously. Everybody that's a part of this, Race Control. Just really appreciate you guys, and it's a lot of fun. Looking forward to the last few races here.
Yes, sir. 3 races to go, and good luck the rest of the way, and we'll catch you next Tuesday.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, man. That was the number 45, Mr. Nathan Campbell. And now it's time to bring in our race winner, the number 28, Mr. Ryan Bean, for the 8th time this season, and most likely the most important win of the 2023 second half. Ryan Bean, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, man. I believe it, man. Nathan put on a hell of a run there early on that final stretch to kind of keep you on your toes a little bit. And I know throughout the entire race there was a lot of different position changes, and you had to cycle through the top 10 quite a bit. But ultimately, coming into this race, you had that penalty, put you P11, and all of a sudden our favorite driver to in the playoffs is almost in a must-win situation. So what did you have to do mentally to focus on this race, knowing that penalty was there?
Yeah, the penalty I feel was fair, and I realized I put myself in that position, so all I could do is go out here and win, and mentality didn't change. Obviously, not winning last week definitely hurt. Talladega's Talladega. If you win that, yay. If you crash, oh well. It was tough because mile and a half is predominantly where Nate is usually the guy on our team. He's always consistently up there no matter what, and I had to work for it today, and he raced me fair and hard, but I think my long run was just a little better, luckily.
And Ryan, congratulations, man, on that 8th win of the season. And obviously, we just talked to your teammate, and he said that he feels like everybody's advancing a lot and progressing over at Stealth. Do you guys think you guys could get 4 Stealth Motorsports drivers in the Final Four when you guys get to that point?
I think we can. We definitely got the speed to do it. Homestead and I think California, so those are good tracks for us historically. I think we can. We're gonna have to get a little cleaner here on qualifying. Qualifying is kind of not really our strong suit overall, and race pace. I think we're great. We like to practice a lot, and getting all 4 of us would make us just practice a little harder. So I think we can, but we're gonna have to work hard because round 8 it gets way tougher to make it to the next round here.
Yeah, way tougher, and being a short track and then a normal track. I think, the time is going to be needed to get yourself into that final race there at Phoenix. But congrats once more, winner for the 8th time in this back half season here in 2023. The floor is yours. Final thoughts before we let you go this evening.
Yeah, I gotta thank the usual teammates. Good job practicing this week. We put in a lot of hours. Everybody helped me. Me and Zach were must wins, but he had some demons biting him today. But we'll come back stronger. He'll come back stronger. He's a good dude. I gotta thank you guys up in the booth. Thank Ludi Sheffield for the penalty. It was great. It's a nice little present. But luckily we were able to expunge that, and on to my home track next week. So never won there. Fingers crossed. I want to lap the field next week.
Well, that'd be a feat all by itself, man. But we're going to go ahead and let you go, and we'll see what we can do for you there at Homestead and getting the whole entire field one lap down.
Yep. Appreciate it, guys.
Yes, sir. That was Ryan Bean driving the number 28 there on the Nike white and pink car. And Jason, it wasn't as eventful of yesterday, but still a lot of different stories we're trying to play out here this evening, and came down pretty close there in the points. I don't know exactly what you got on your calculator, but that cutoff line was pretty congested, I would say.
I mean, just by the looks of it, obviously, it looks like, just from my calculations, I mean, it looks like Blake Howell, Nathan Campbell, Brian Fine, James Catrone, Harold Watkins, Brock Potter, Andrew Little, and Ryan Bean, obviously, with that win. Those guys are going to be the 8 drivers who go on to compete for those Final 4 spots at Homestead and Auto Club here in a few weeks' time. So you have 2 vastly different handling racetracks coming up, and obviously we talked about it, and I mentioned it to Nathan Campbell, is do you think Las Vegas is the definition of multi-groove now with this new car. But you could also make a standpoint for Homestead, for Auto Club. I know Auto Club, the configuration we're going to be going to doesn't exist anymore. They finally started some, obviously, deconstruction of that property, so hopefully we'll see what that place looks like in the future. But with that being said, these next 2 tracks, if you want to make sure you make it into the Final Four, it's just like real life. You have to finish super, super well if you want to be able to make that Final Four. It's going to be fun. Ryan Bean capitalizes, go figure. I mean, he's been so fast all season long. I still think he's going to be the guy to look out for when we head to Phoenix.
Yeah, 100% there. With all the wins he's had in 2023 period, no doubt about it, he's still one of my top picks to get the job done this year for that trophy. I want to give our shout outs to our partners before we bring this thing to a close entirely. Thank you first, Dustin, our producer, not on camera tonight, but amazing camera work nonetheless. And more things to come 2024, so stay tuned for the Nerditudes. RSR Next Gen Cup Series, appreciate you letting us do this in the back half of 2023. So stay tuned and anything up to date and any news related things going on in the league, head over to facebook.com/RSR League. You got Best One Tire and Service, the presenting sponsor for the Tuesday night series here. So if you're looking for a one-stop automotive repair and tire shop, visit bestonetire.com to find a location nearest you. Admin Box is built by iRacers for iRacers to be utilized in league and hosted races by admins and race control. Find them at adminbox.com. Blake Howell Designs, find them on Instagram. It's one of your best places to go for a one-of-a-kind way to showcase your sponsors on the sim racetrack. And that's at Blake Howell Designs. Martin Sports, top quality apparel to make you look stylish and feel comfortable. See everything they have to offer you at martinsports.gg. iRacingIFlag.com. Get all of your notifications on a customized 3D printed unit that help you complete your sim rig. If you're looking for something like that, head over to iRacingIFlag.com. The Butt Kicker, the ultimate feel of a race car with their haptic response system connected directly to your center post of your sim seats. And if you're looking for something like that to feel all the bumps and feels of the track, head over to thebuttkicker.com. Team Watson Racing Setups, quality, professionally built setups for your asphalt oval needs. Find them at teamwatsonracing.com for pricing and packages. Dusty Pete's Gifts and Collectibles, hobby shop with a whole lot more. So if collecting is the game, Dusty Pete's is the name, and that's at dustypete's.com. And then lastly, Roasted Jim's Coffee, premium coffee beans roasted just for you. Start your day the right way with none other than Roasted Jim's Coffee. All right, guys, it's going to bring us to a close this week here for the Nerd TV crew. We're going to come at you back live 9 p.m. Eastern this coming Monday night for the FTSR Mach 1 Performance Cup Series as they're going to go around Homestead Miami Speedway. Should be a blast there for sure. Until then, stay safe and always get your nerd on.